Those who blaze trails, who speed down the pathway of progress, would probably not take a highway like this. Old roads lead nowhere, but they do. They point toward the past. David Rose is an artist from Charlottesville, Virginia, who finds relics along the road, dilapidated diners and drive-in theaters that people now don't have time to notice. David notices. He looks at new roads and sees new ruts, people on the go yet chained by fast food. Something's missing on the superhighway. The slick path of progress has a price. That's why David Rose heads in the opposite direction. For on these roads are the remnants of who we are. The signs tell us not where we're going, but where we've been.
As much as anything, I want to build a portrait. And I thought, well, I'll build models of these before they're destroyed. They're such a part of our collective memory. Took a little road trip and drove out on the old Lincoln Highway through Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming. Shot a lot of pictures. And Red Desert was one of them. This is the entire town, just this one building. It's an original, one of a kind. I made it. It's just pieces of plastic glued in a row. But, you know, if I'm going to sit down and make these, I'll make maybe 50 or 60 of them. I have beads, earring parts, little sequins, and I'll use them for dinner plates. I'll use them for, just about anything. This is a milkshake machine. The part that actually does the mixing down there is a straight pin. There's an awful lot of detail. Yeah, this would be the glass cover on the electric meter. Mies van der Rohe said, God is in the details. I say, I hope God brings his reading glasses. This phone booth took me 2 days to make it. A lot of gluing and sanding and painting. It's hard to imagine the people in Red Desert ever thought they were going to be anything like Chicago, but they probably thought they'd amount to more than what's there now. Eventually, someone's going to, just for fun, is going to light a match to it and burn this building down, and then the whole town of Red Desert will be gone. But this model will hopefully survive. Definitely got a product of the 50s here. In 1957, the Russians put up the first Sputnik. Everybody went space crazy. And it's easy to see how this sign was influenced by the times. Classic Jetsons architecture. I really like this kind of architecture. People were inventing everything. They were inventing things brand new. And they had to invent a whole style of architecture to go along with the brave new world that was opening up to us at that time. Even in the 50s, even in the 60s, we look forward to tomorrow knowing things were going to be better. I don't think that's a universal belief now. I think a lot of people think that, geez, if we could just keep from getting worse. If you ask people, is the future going to be better or worse than today, you'd probably get a mixed bag of answers. You know, this is a part of our recent history that is being left behind at an alarming rate. And it's as important as George Washington's boyhood home, at least to me it is. I mean, this is part of my history, my own personal history. Photographs in here of all the pieces I've done. Back in Little Rock, the Sunset Drive-In. This is the Cimarron Court. This is the one where the woman came up to me and said that she knew where this motel was. She stayed in it on the way to her honeymoon, and it was down near Texarkana. And I said, well, actually, ma'am, it's in northwest Arkansas, not far from Fayetteville. And she said, don't tell me. I know where this is at. This one, Rio Siesta, was sold to Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon. Tim Robbins came in to pick this one up. He mentioned that he had bought this one as a Christmas present for Bruce Springsteen. That's Roy Oakley, legend in his own time. That was the gas station in Bearsville, New York. Population about 250 people. Yeah, that's Happy Williford's gas station, and the town was called Rixey, Arkansas. It's not there anymore. That was the first indoor bathroom between Little Rock and Searcy. That individual spirit is exemplified in these buildings. I think it's kind of like firing a warning shot. If we get to the point where the individual just can't survive, then I think we've lost a lot. I just see these things and I can't let them go. I feel like I need to do something.
David Rose is a man of many talents. He's been a sculptor, a painter, potter, glassblower. Then he started making his models, sells them for between $2,000 and $10,000 apiece. Made his first model in 1990, but the idea took root years before. In the 70s, David lived in Arkansas, but often drove to New York to visit his family. On those drives, all those years, David began noticing old motels and country stores disappearing. There aren't many left, some on roads like this, and models of some in David Rose's gallery.
You know, someone pointed out that if Thomas Jefferson were around today and wanted to build Monticello, he couldn't, not in Albemarle County, because it's against all the codes. And when all artistic decisions are being made in corporate boardrooms, you know, that's a scenario that, as an artist, you know, I fear that.